all respects, reservoir water. Tavam, similarly, Sarveshu, in all, Vedeshu, Vedic Manasya, of the man who knows the Supreme Brahman. Vijanata, who is in complete knowledge. The purpose behind sacrifices mentioned in the Karma Kanda division of Vedic literature are meant to encourage gradual development of self-realization. And the purpose of self-realization is clearly stated in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Realization means understanding Krishna and one's eternal relationship with him. The relationship of the living entities with Krishna is also mentioned in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, parcels of Krishna. Therefore, revival of Krishna consciousness by the individual living entity is the highest perfectional state. Lord, a person who is chanting your holy name, although born of a low family like that of a Chandala, dog-eater, is situated on the highest platform of self-realization. Such a person must have performed all kinds of penances and sacrifices according to Vedic rituals and studied the Vedic literatures many times, his path in all the holy places of pilgrimage. Such a person is considered the best of the Aryan family. He must be intelligent enough to understand the purpose of the Vedas without being attached to the rituals only. And one must not have to be elevated to the heavenly kingdom for better quality of sense gratification. It is not possible for the common man in this age to follow the rules and regulations of Vedic rituals. It is possible to study all of the Vedanta and the Upanishads thoroughly. It requires much time, energy, knowledge, and resources to execute the purposes of the Vedas. It will be possible in this age. The best purpose of the Vedic literature is served, however, by chanting the holy name of the Lord. He was asked by a great Vedic scholar, Prakashananda Saraswati, why he, the Lord, was chanting the holy name of the Lord like a sentimentalist. Instead of studying Vedanta philosophy, the Lord replied that his spiritual master had found him to be a great fool, and thus asked him to chant the holy name of Lord Krishna. He did so, and became ecstatically educated to understand Vedanta philosophy. This word in Vedic wisdom, and the author and knower of the Vedanta philosophy is Lord Krishna. And the highest Vedantist is the great soul who takes pleasure in chanting the holy name. Om Vishnu Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. This is easy to understand. They're even brush their teeth or something. They did the lake. You have water for every purpose. These wells were typically not very big also. So therefore people would be gathered around. One conception is that just like you have this great reservoir which serves all purposes. The idea is when it says Tavam Sarveshu Vedeshu Brahmanasya Vijnanataha. Brahmanasya means one who is capable of studying the Vedas, and Vijnanataha means that knowledge about the Vedas. So either this can mean that one who studies the Vedas properly will have all knowledge of this, and one who, and of course Srila Prabhupada emphasizes here, therefore the best person who can help us understand the Vedas. It's like if I want to understand what so-and-so is doing in their home, I don't expect. I saw them, they come out of their home at 6 in the morning and they go back at 7. So what they do in their home must be this and this and this. I saw something. You ask the person. So we ask Krishna. The whole process of hearing the Bhagavad Gita, we're asking Krishna. Just like Arjuna asked Krishna. It's like someone was mentioning to me today that you're here because you can explain these things. I said, no. it may be here or not be here, can understand the Vedas and Kali Yuga. And therefore, a wise person goes to that part of the Upanishad or that part of the Vedas that they can understand according to their nature, according to their... Prabhupada goes beyond that. He says, he's quoting Lord Chaitanya here. We'll talk about that later. The other understanding is that vast body of Vedic knowledge makes everything available. And therefore, because it's available, we don't care it's given. If you go to many, if you have you want so many things, we all have so many desires. So therefore we have to go to Krishna, akama, moksha kama va, sarva kama, karma, sarva kama va, moksha kama dharadi, tivrena bhakti yogena yajita Purusottam. That whatever we have many desires, no desires, spiritual desires, whatever we have, Krishna will fulfill them necessarily in the way that we may have a different angle. They all have a different motive. So devotees would approach Srila Prabhupada with different motives. He has taken 3 of my men, so he expected Srila Prabhupada to immediately say, well, then, call him in, maintain them. Then how can you say they're your men? And the GBCs were, if he is reading, he will understand that he must deserve a jaya. The Bhagavad Gita. In a humble state of mind. That means we're willing to hear. We also had his preconception. That, how can I think it was? Which Srila Prabhupada, in one sense he says it's material lamentation, and in another sense he says it's the natural condition of a Vaishnava. It's paradukha duty. About the sufferings of others. They're very compassionate. When they see someone suffering. When we talk about suffering, when a Vaishnava sees someone suffering, it's not just some person with their teeth falling out. So when they receive some suffering, they will use all of their ability and knowledge and whatever to try to avoid it. They will not take it as a sign from the Lord that now I should try to understand why am I suffering. Knowledge through the acharyas. And the acharyas are offering us Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. Pure devotional service without making the proper effort. That's generally Gita talks about endeavor. Satatam Gitayanto Mam. Yatantascha Jadhavataha. That Satatam Gita, we should all be chanting 24 hours a day. But to do that, it requires it requires an effort with great determination. Of bhakti, there has to be regulation. And then, through the agency of the holy name, Srila Prabhupada quotes, Pacha, a dog eater, can approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead if they just have this one condition, Yajjivadre, Vartate Namasya. If they always chant, they have full faith in the holy name of Krishna and the glories of the Supreme. You understand, and this is how Srila Prabhupada relates that verse to the present verse of Bhagavad Gita, will be revealed. Everything that's necessary will be revealed. We will have the intelligence to understand what Krishna is saying here in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and by the agency of the holy name. But then Srila Prabhupada, Vedanta is the great soul who takes pleasure in the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. In order to access the full lake of transcendental holy name, that little tiny detail, inoffensive chanting, requires some endeavor. The first endeavor means that I have to be serious in my chanting. Now, seriousness in chanting means that it is my number one priority in life. So my first priority is eating. Then I'll always make sure that I eat on time no matter what. If my first or second priority is sleeping, I'll always make sure I get enough rest. So one can examine, do I chant the holy name with that same determination? Make sure. No, just like Srila Haridas Thakur, he would not eat until he finished his round. And he chanted 190. He would eat before finishing his rounds. When Lord Chaitanya came to take his bath, he would bring already been chanted from midnight the day before. He would rest like half an hour, 45 minutes, and then he would chant. So by the time Lord Chaitanya arrives, he's already chanted maybe 110, 120 rounds. Determination. Also, Raghunath Das Swami would not eat until he finished chanting his prescribed round, which was how offensive chanting can come about. When one is very serious about chanting the holy name, more serious than anything else, doesn't mean that we have to necessarily have that rigid of a determination we won't eat because some people are able to do. But let's say, okay, in a normal grihastha atmosphere, it's not always, the only reason we can't is because we have other desires. Because there's really no reason, unless someone's working 12 to 14 hours a day, that one can't take rest early. My desires and everything. The only thing I want to do is chant the holy name, but all these circumstances beyond my control are forcing me not to get up and chant. Determination come from utsaha, from enthusiasm. And where does our enthusiasm come from? Associating with Vaishnava. When we Raghunath Das Goswami, he was very anxious to associate away from home. And he came. No, he was, he had a for him to run away from home. Because his father had a guard. No, he had a guard, and then the Brahmins would watch over him. So what he did was, he spoke to the main Brahmin, and he asked, he told the guard just to go, he could go because I'm here with the Brahmin. And then he stopped. But Lord Chaitanya said, no, you are a grihastha, you must go back and fulfill your grihastha duty. Lord Chaitanya did not accept, whimsically inclined to do something whimsical. We just invent some excuse that comes from our mind. Yeah, he didn't accept that. He said, no, you go back. So he went back. And he finally, his father father said to his mother said, why? What is wrong with him? He's got the most beautiful wife. Determination. No. Otherwise, Lord Chaitanya said, you can make festivals. But his determination was pure devotional service. So also we can find many things in Srila Prabhupada's books that give us the excuse not to strive for pure devotional service, not to strive. Many things that we can run in the morning, 4 rounds in the afternoon, 4 rounds. That's an example. He was very determined. So then all of a sudden Lord Chaitanya saw what happened to our festivals. Raghunath doesn't want to sponsor us anymore, doesn't want to make any more festivals for the Vaishnavas. And then that this money is coming from materialistic men. And therefore what he is doing with it, even though he is sponsoring the Vaishnavas, is not pure. And therefore what is he doing? Now he stands behind the temple. And whenever the cows have finished eating the remnants of whatever is thrown out there, why are you depriving me of this feast? The real feast in Krishna consciousness is what Srila Prabhupada says here in the last part of the philosophy, Vijanataha, is really cultivate a taste for chanting the holy name, which will require some effort. If we do that, then the taste will be to give up material sense gratification. One must have a taste for the holy name. But to develop that taste for the holy name, one must give up material sense gratification. So what is that hearing? Inquiring. If we're serious enough to do that, because we want to taste that pleasure, because we're hearing, by hearing, we understand that this sense gratification is not good for me. The process, Lord Chaitanya gave us the example. The process is that his spiritual master gave him the instruction. He said, you are a fool, therefore you must chant the holy name. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took this advice, and he went away, and then after some time he came back to Ishwara Puri. And he said, my dear Lord, I don't know what is happening. I'm feeling great distress in chanting the holy name. No, we would have a different distress. Distress was that when I chant, I become mad. No. I become completely mad. I don't know what's happening. It seems like I'm going insane. I don't know what to do. And then one develops a taste for chanting the holy name, that one begins to sing and chant loudly and feels great agitation in one's life. And one continues to chant and dance without any consideration of what outsiders may think. So, that we chant, and also says that. He posed that question in Nrisikshastika. I have no taste. So what is the solution? Lord Chaitanya gave the solution. Well, you have to chant, and it's no attraction. If you chant and you still exhibit envy, proud of one's achievement, or proud of one's materialistic condition, but if you chant in a humble state of mind, then, and also if you're very tolerant, because so many things will happen, and if you understand that these things are products of my previous activity, then I won't be disturbed by them. Rather, I will feel relieved. I'm very happy. I'm very happy that this problem came upon me, because by confronting it, that previous activity, which is an obstacle to my spiritual process, will be removed. Therefore, Queen Kunti says, more and more difficult. Give me more difficulties. I can get out of this material tabernacle, this material labyrinth, sooner. So that, of course, we may not be so powerful that we can hope that we can speak something about Krishna consciousness that will be beneficial to everyone. Certainly, Krishna consciousness is beneficial to everyone, but the problem is to understand that and believe it. Because we all believe that Krishna consciousness is beneficial. But how is it beneficial? That is the dilemma. Otherwise, how can I practice so that my practice will bring the ultimate benefit? And so that's a little bit what I wanted to speak about. It is beneficial. But Srila Prabhupada has indicated that the best thing we can do in this lifetime is go back home, back to God. Otherwise, especially in one lecture, where Srila Prabhupada was speaking about 12th canto, symptoms of Kali Yuga, and how he was reading, and he got to the point where it said that people would be about 3 feet high, and they would not be able to speak anymore, and they would simply live off eating one another. And then Prabhupada said, better to leave now. Don't wait around. It's exactly those words. I wanted to read a famous verse from Bhagavad Gita, the 9th chapter, text number 13. Mahatmanastu mam bhavata dhaivim prakritim ashitaha bhajan ananya manaso gyatva bhutadimabhyayam. Translation of Sanapita. Those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Sanapita. Those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Purport. In this verse, the description of the Mahatma is clearly given. The first sign of the Mahatma is that he is already situated in the divine nature. He is not under the control of material nature. And how is this effective? That is explained in the 7th chapter. One who surrenders under the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, at once becomes free from the control of material nature. That is the qualification. One can become free from the control of nature, material nature, as soon as he surrenders his soul to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the preliminary formula. Being marginal potency, as soon as the living entity is freed from the control of material nature, he is put under the guidance of the spiritual nature. That guidance, the guidance of the spiritual nature is called Daivi Prakriti, divine nature. So when one is promoted in that way, by surrendering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one attains the stage of a great soul, Mahatma. Mahatma does not divert his attention to anything outside Krishna, because he knows perfectly well that Krishna is the original Supreme Person, the cause of all causes. There is no doubt about it. Such a Mahatma, or great soul, develops through association with other Mahatmas, or pure devotees. Pure devotees are not even attracted by Krishna's other features, such as the four-armed Mahavishnu. They are attracted to other features of Krishna. They are not attracted to other features of Krishna, nor are they concerned with any form of a demigod or a human being. They meditate only upon Krishna in Krishna consciousness. They are always engaged in the unswerving service of the Lord in Krishna consciousness. So this Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Vichitanyamanokrishtam Shapitam Jena Bhuta Saraswati Devi Gaudavani Paracharine Nirvishesha Shindavati Paschat Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sya Dvaita Radha Shivashari Gaur Bhakti Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 We must surrender to Krishna, everything to Krishna. So much so that there's nothing, either in the spiritual nature or the material nature, that will divert our consciousness from Krishna. So this is a very, very elevated platform. But this is what is required to actually become happy in this life. We cannot be happy in this life if we're thinking about Krishna consciousness. Is this good for me at the end of life? That's good for me later on. That's good for me at some later point in my existence. Krishna consciousness is the only solution, the only thing I want. Even the other forms of the Lord, Kurma, actually Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur, he makes one prayer to Lord. Dear Lord, after seeing your beautiful form, even the form of Govinda is, it's okay, but it's your beautiful golden form, which embodies Radha and Krishna, even Govinda. I'm wondering, not appreciate all the forms of the Lord. He is speaking, there are different types of tattva or understanding. So one tattva is understanding the Supreme, the tattva of the Supreme Lord as Krishna, the most attractive, etc. But there's also rasa tattva, which means that once we actually taste the Lord, and rasa tattva is the recommended process for this age. And that rasa tattva is awakened by the chanting of the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. When we speak of Bhagavat Tattva, or understanding the Supreme, in terms of his energies, the Shakti's energies, in terms of his ability to control, to create, to maintain, to destroy, his functions in relation to this material world, he that is the supreme master of all living entities. And we speak about that, then there is no difference between Kurma, Matsya, Vishnu, Narayana, Krishna, all supremely equal. But when we speak of rasa, just like Krishna's form is so special, Rupa Madhurya. He has 4 opulences. So one is Rupa Madhurya. His form is so beautiful. When the gopis saw Krishna at Kurukshetra, they said, "My dear Lord, after so long, we can finally see this transcendental form of yours." And they began to drink the form of Krishna with their eyes into their hearts. And then they said, "Why is this creator, Radha, made these eyelids?" Very bad invention. Because we waited so long, and then these eyelids are interfering. We waited so many years to see Krishna. Practically speaking, more than 100 years they waited. That's more than one lifetime. So they waited that long to see, and then these eyelids. Now we don't even notice our eyelids, but the gopis, they did. And the ladies of Mathura, they glorified the gopis. Not only the gopis, the young gopis, but the older gopis. When they saw Krishna enter the arena of Kamsa, the arena where they were supposed to fight with the wrestlers, they said, "This is not fair. Look at those young boys with their delicate bodies. How can this be?" Now, of course, Krishna and Balaram were walking in with each one with an elephant tusk. This is called Rasa Tattva. That they could just see Krishna as a beautiful young cowherd boy. They were only concerned with this aspect of Krishna. So they weren't thinking that they saw these 2 big wrestlers with huge, ugly muscles coming out from every possible place. And they saw Krishna, his sweet smile. Look at the beautiful face, which is actually can be drunk. It can actually be taken in. It's so, like beauty is something, for us it's very ethereal. And even in this world they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. We discussed that the other day as far as taste. Generally speaking, when you speak of taste, it means something that's solid or liquid. But Krishna's beauty is so intense that it actually is like it becomes solidified and you can drink it. It becomes liquefied and you can drink it. The wives of the Brahmin, when they saw Krishna, when they approached him with all kinds of gifts and foodstuffs, when they saw him, they just stopped. And they were drinking Krishna, his beauty, his transcendental form, which they had longed to see for their whole life, eyes and into their hearts. So this is the beauty of Krishna. And this beauty of Krishna can be experienced by us if we want to be Mahatma. And what does a Mahatma do? Pibantiye Bhagavata Atmatam Sakam Katam Mitam one who knows how to drink this transcendental nectar of Krishna consciousness. Drink Krishna's form, Rupa Madhurya, Madhurya. To hear Krishna's flute is the greatest achievement. And to see Lila Madhurya, his super excellent pastimes, which can even bewilder the mind of Mahavishnu or Narayana. His pastimes are so wonderful that even Narayana, even Mahavishnu, all of the demigods, everyone is aspiring to see those pastimes. So these are the excellences of Krishna that can only be understood by the devotees of the Lord. But when we can actually enter into these mysteries of Krishna and taste them through the chanting of the holy name, then this will be possible, which is described here. Srila Prabhupada says there are two alternatives. In his purport, he says there are two alternatives. One, that we take shelter, as recommended here, for a Mahatma. Actually, everyone is Mahatma. There's not any living entity that is not Mahatma. But the Mahatma nature is covered over. Everyone is Mahatma. Everyone here is Mahatma. But we don't want to act like Mahatma. What do Mahatmas do? That's in the next verse. Satatam kitayam tamam yatantasya vidha vrata namisantasya mam bhaktya. You always glorifying Krishna. Because we have to glorify someone. So, Krishna says, why not glorify me? Why glorify some television star, movie star, musician, politician? No. Why glorify? Because even if you want personal benefit, then you can also glorify me. I can give you more benefit than anyone of you. For a little rice and got a palace. No. Where can you get that deal in the material world? Has anyone done that? No. Full of broken rice, and you get a palace that challenges the sovereignty of the demigod. But Arjuna said, even if I had the sovereignty of the demigods, but I don't have Krishna. Universe, it wouldn't be worth one drop of Krishna consciousness, not even one molecule, one particle of Krishna consciousness. That is the power of the. So, if you have to glorify someone, glorify Krishna, and yatantasya vidha. And endeavoring for my pleasure. We're always endeavoring for the pleasure of someone. Just like everyone goes to work, as Govinda said, Vipali Sevino, Vipana Durajan. We're endeavoring uselessly. No. Vipali Sevino. Serving hard-hearted and cruel, greedy person. Everyone's doing that now. Anyone who's employed, or anyone who makes money in this society is serving hard-hearted and cruel person. Who masquerade as someone who's benefiting. Just like you see sometimes a picture of someone cutting jobs. But the jobs are already there. The earth is there. The earth can give so many grains and so many different types of wonderful foodstuffs. No, let us open a factory so people can live in work in hellish conditions. And then I'm helping everyone. And of course, what to speak of how much I'll make. Gita, everyone must work. No one can stop working. No, even a drunk is working. No, he has to go out every day and beg for some new wine. People live on the street, but they're not homeless. No, you see the little few pieces of cardboard and piece of tin. Yes, supposedly wealthy country, they have homeless. They live under a bridge. They don't even have cardboard. No. They also have to work. I was watching one time. I was waiting for devotees to pick me up. I was watching him go out and beg about 10 minutes, then you would go to work. No. Everyone had. Even Srila Prabhupada told the story that there was one king, and he was very disturbed because so many people in his kingdom were lazy. So, what am I going to do, all these lazy people? No. How will I get them to work? And so the minister said, you must prove that they're not lazy. So you say, I'm offering a prize for the laziest person. No. I will offer a prize that everyone who's lazy must come here in this mandap, this big platform. And the minister said, then after they all come, you set it on fire and you'll see who is lazy. So they all came, thousands of people. And then the king said, all right, so now I'm going to set this platform on fire, and anyone who is lazy, anyone who stays, they will be declared as lazy, and they will not be required to work. So he said it on. Everybody ran, except for two. They were laying there, and one of them said to the other, I'm feels very hot. The other one said, well, just turn over. You're lazy. No, you don't have to work. Everyone else has to.
But everyone has, except for maybe a few special souls. They have to work. Even to be laid to lay around, you have to work. So, you have to endeavor to do it for Krishna. Now, that is the science. Bhagavad Gita is the science of working for Krishna. Some people go to, practically speaking, everyone goes to school, vocational school, anything, expert. I mean, you may be able to learn something in a few months or a year, but to be expert, you have to take consciousness. If you simply hear, you don't have to work very hard, you don't have to endeavor very hard. Just make your best endeavor to understand Krishna. And that is sufficient. It's like Srila Prabhupada. One time he was coming to New Vrindavan, so he was in the car. And he said, so, everyone is working so hard. These four things, they're working so hard. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. He said, any bird, he said a bird has two eggs, one male, one female. Mating problem solved. There's no endeavor. Like, humans make such an endeavor to look for the right, the right one. Even in the Vedic tradition, you have to do a whole astrological study, and then the parents get together and they discuss, and then, just like even in the marriage of Lord Chaitanya, when his mother convinced him to get married. So she had to go through this whole endeavor. Never liked her. Even from the beginning. I even asked my father if I could have another one. And he said, believe me, one will be enough. You'll see. And Prabhu said he was right. But we never thought of separation. Because this is such an endeavor. But the birds, to eat, automatically they know where to go, what to eat. They don't have to figure it out. They don't have to spend all of their energy for doing this. They do spend all of their energy because they have no intelligence to do anything else. When they're not eating, when they're not mating, when they're not defending, especially the birds you always see. Then they sleep. So the human being, Srila Prabhupada said, what is the difficulty? He said, I came to this country with $7. Prabhupada said, all of you have more than me. And you're endeavoring so hard. And I came with $7. I did not know where I was going. I did not know where I would sleep. But I simply had faith in Krishna. And somehow or another, Prabhupada said that there were so many difficulties. But I simply believed in Krishna. And I chanted. And then I was even thinking, when is the next ship going back to India? But I still renewed my visa. Somehow or another I had faith that Krishna would take care. So otherwise Prabhupada was saying, he said, I went here, there, stayed with Dr. Misra, did this, did that. But I had faith. So Prabhupada was saying, there were so many difficulties. Not that Krishna consciousness is without difficulties. But if we have full faith, Krishna will arrange everything. And he said, now, see, so much opulence is there by Krishna's grace. So, Srila Prabhupada's proposal is that, and he also said in that same conversation, he said that when in the beginning, I made no requirement. I simply said, you come, dance and chant. You simply come here and dance and chant. Hey, do this, don't do that. Just chant and dance. And they came. And then after a while, Chaitadharpana Marjanam, their hearts became purified. Then I could give some little instruction. Everyone. This Krishna consciousness movement, following in the steps of Srila Prabhupada, means just to provide the opportunity, just like we're doing today, that people can come together and chant and dance. Most everybody's sitting. But we could dance, take Prasad. Give everyone the opportunity. Then their hearts will become purified, and then they will inquire about Krishna. Prabhupada said, then you can engage them in devotion. Opportunity. Offering obeisances. A devotee of Krishna offers obeisances to everyone. Give them the opportunity for Krishna. Otherwise, material life is so difficult. Therefore, I just selected one verse, which is very interesting verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. His point that if we don't take shelter, otherwise how fortunate we are, and how we should take shelter of Krishna. So this is a famous verse from the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam. Asudurlabam idam bahusam bhavante manusyam martadam manityapi harira tunam yatatana patatanu mityajavam Vishayasaya Vishaya Kalusavataisya. After many, many births and deaths, one achieves the rare human form of life, which, although temporary, affords one the opportunity to attain the highest perfection. Thus, a sober human being should quickly endeavor for the ultimate perfection of life as long as his body, which is always subject to death, has not fallen down and died. After all, sense gratification is available even in the most abominable species of life, whereas Krishna consciousness is possible only for a human being. So this is very important. Human form of life is very, very difficult to attain. Very difficult. In the Puranas, how difficult is it? That if a neem tree should rot and fall into the water, and has a hole in it, and floats into the Nicholas is swimming, and just by chance puts his head up and goes through that hole. That is the chance that you have to meet a bona fide spiritual master, to get this human life and actually meet. And additionally, neem trees don't rot. So that's another fact. Very rare to get this human life and then take advantage of the human form of life. And it says, a sober human being, because we can attain the highest perfection. That is the benefit of the human form of life. We can attain the highest perfection. As long as this body has not dropped down and died, there's no reason not to do this. Because there's nothing else to do. Because everything else you're doing is available to even the most abominable form of life. Even birds, insects, fish. Actually, in Vedic calculation, fish is to be considered the worst possible form of life. Because fish have to live underwater and they have to eat the refuge of every other living entity. Therefore, it actually says in the Vedas that eating fish is the worst foodstuff one can eat. Because it contains and ultimately washes through the rivers, goes into the ocean, and then the fish eat. Vedic calculation, dog eater, goat eater, even cow eater is better than fish eater. But he said by Vedic calculation of higher and lower species, that this is the most abominable. And nowadays he said even stool had so much phosphorus and protein. Protein. But actually protein is the protein that people are hankering for. Does vegetables, the apples are hanging on the tree, the fruits are hanging on the tree, the breadfruit. Actually people don't understand. They're in ignorance, therefore one should be full of compassion. Another verse in the Bhagavatam, in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, even more famous verse, Radhe Madhyam Sulabham Sudurlabham. Radhe, this human form of life, Madhyam. Once we can attain it, Sulabham, very easily attained, meaning I got it very easily. What did I do? When you think about it, what did I do to get this human form of life? Did I do something? Do I create my intelligence? Did I create my body? Is this my work? No. So, but Sudurlabham. It's very easily attained because I already have it. But Sudurlabham. But to get it again, that may be very difficult. Labham Sukalpam Guru Karnadharam. That this is Sukalpam. This is so auspicious. This boat, because this body is just like a boat. And I have the perfect captain, Guru Karnadharam, the perfect captain of the spiritual master. Maya Kuleha. Krishna says, and I have given the Vedic literature, which is Nabhaspataritam, which is like favorable winds that will carry this boat to the ultimate destination. Therefore, Kuman Bhavat Dhir Nataret Satmaha. Anyone who doesn't take advantage of this boat to cross the ocean of material existence is a killer of his own soul. Such a great opportunity is human point of view. But to take advantage of this, one must be Mahatma. One must understand. And this verse in Bhagavad Gita, it says, what are the symptoms of a Mahatma? We discussed some of them. But it says that first of all, a Mahatma, first thing they do is they take shelter of divine nature. And Srila Prabhupada said here, what is that shelter? That we associate with the pure devotees of the Lord. Now one may say, where are they? Well, right here. Srila Prabhupada. We can associate with Srila Prabhupada any day. So many wonderful literatures. Actually, Srila Prabhupada, no one has made a commentary on the Bhagavatam like Srila Prabhupada. No commentary, no one has made a commentary so extensive as Srila Prabhupada. Taking into account all the previous acharyas. And not everything they said, because that would make it too voluminous. But practically speaking, taking into account all, so this Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Devotion, so many transcendental literatures, that our spiritual life is completely filled. There's no time. Even if one dedicates one full time every day to study these literatures, how can we understand them perfectly? By the mercy of the pure devotee. And there are so many other pure devotees. Srila Prabhupada said a pure devotee means someone who is fully dedicating their life without any other interest to the service of Krishna. So it will stimulate within our hearts and minds the desire to perform service to Krishna most efficiently. And principally do bhajanyananya manasu. They're always reciting the glories of the Supreme Lord within their minds, within their hearts. And Jatprabhutadim Avyayam. Understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the original person. What they're talking about Krishna. So these take their lives to serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because another thing, everyone has to serve. We all have to serve some cause, some person, our family, our friends, our country. We're obligated. Just like the Bhagavatam says, even if you want to serve this body, or you want to enjoy this body, because actually what we call enjoying the body is actually obligatory service, just like some obligatory military service. The body obliges you to serve it every day. You have to give it 6, 7, 8 hours sleep. You have to feed it many times a day. I'm enjoying it. But the body is actually demanding. You have to feed it. You have to groom it. Realize actually how much of our day we spend. Just, even if you do the minimum, you're spending at least 8, 9 hours a day just serving the body. And then the Bhagavatam says, so you have to serve the body. And why do you do it voluntarily? Because you think it's yours. But is it really yours? No. You ask the government. No. Just like one man, somebody showed me on the internet, this one man, he's thinking like that. But then what will happen when he goes to immigration? No, come to the U.S. Your body belongs to the U.S. The soul belongs to Krishna. But even the soul, even our very self, belongs to Krishna. No. Krishna says, the Lord of all worlds and everything within them. Everything emanates from me. So it's ultimately Krishna's property, but here the government will be saying, you're my property. When you're born, you get a certificate. When you die, they file you away. No. Case number, filed away. And they consider if you're born, that you belong to us. You want to leave the country, you have to have a passport. There's other living entities. The worms, there's so many worms and living entities. The Bhagavatam says, living within you, and they're thinking, this is home, sweet home. This is my house. The husband and the wife, they're thinking the husband, this is our property. He has to work for us. He works for us. And the husband works for me. Everyone's claiming somebody else's body. And then the Bhagavatam says, ultimately, the jackals and the vultures, or the corvals, they're thinking that the owner, just like if you have a court case, the real owner is the one who gets it at the end. So therefore the corvals, they win. There will be some worms once they get through once the casket runs. Then it's the fire, like Agni, I got it. No, it was mine. Last claim. Understand, I am the servant of the Supreme Personality of God. Otherwise, Christians, the Bhagavatam shows us very clearly, we just have to use our intelligence and understand what is the real situation here in this world. But if we develop full faith in Krishna, then Krishna will take care of us. But we have to be convinced. Not that when the first difficulty comes along, we say, what happened, Krishna? Wait a minute. You said you're going to take care of me. What's going on? Looks like difficulties. A baby, even we love our children very much, but even a baby can't get that kind of, they're demanding something and you're giving them something else. They're crying and we're speculating. He's hungry, tired, irritated, scared. Giving us something and we're giving something else. So in any stage of life, you may be loved, you may be cared for, but you can't really get to have it for some time and it's taken away. So the only thing we can actually have is Krishna. And it's the easiest thing to attain. What's difficult? Because we listen to our mind instead of Bhagavad Gita. That's the only difficulty. You listen to Charana. When I can give up this fear, this anxiety of material existence, which is all coming from my mind, therefore my mind, please surrender immediately. Give up this anxiety which you're creating in my life. And when you drink the nectar of Krishna consciousness, you don't even need to eat or sleep. When Krishna was 7 years old, in Vrindavan, Indra sent clouds and rain and hail and thunder. So what did Krishna do? He lifted up the Govardhan hill. And everybody went under that hill for 7 days. They didn't eat. They didn't sleep. Maharaj was threatened by death for 7 days. Something about 7 days. 7-day fast. Hare Krishna. And when Parikshit Maharaj, on the 5th day, when Shukadeva Goswami asked Parikshit Maharaj on the 5th day, maybe you want to stop and rest? No. He was implying, maybe you're hungry. This is a long time to fast without water. You say I was thirsty, and that caused this problem. Therefore, now let me drink the nectar of Krishna. So in order to drink the nectar of Krishna consciousness, our material desires, our material aspirations, nectar in this life. You have to compete with they have a question too, but I can't understand it. They question me all night. They're very curious.
So we have heard the analogy of we are seeing there are so many days people there. But we are seeing also that there are very people. They're looking to us. Now we are saying, who is really lazy? Spiritually, they are not both of them not
there. Bhagavatam says, Manda Sumanda Matayo, Manda Bhagya. Manda means lazy. They may be working very hard, as I mentioned today. Read that. Everyone's working very hard all day long. Everyone is spiritually. They may practice some religion, or some faith. And they may do austerities and penances. Because manda bhagya, because they are being guided by spiritually depleted persons. Otherwise, mayavadis, cheating swamis and yogis. Spiritually lazy, or we're guided by spiritually deficient people. Manda bhagya. And everyone in Kali Yuga is manda bhagya. They're subjected to misfortune. Practically speaking, even the most wealthy person in Kali Yuga has to work, that big and spiritually lazy. They're being forced to work very hard. But like asses. People who are endeavoring spiritually. Yatirtha buddhi salile nakarichit Gyaneshva Vigeshu Sahiva. Find the pure devotees of the Lord in those places. Then, just like there's also cows and asses in those places. What are they doing? Grazing. We're not talking about, some people are working very hard. Not necessarily because they want to, because they're forced to. Because we're plugged into a system, which is called material energy. And then that material energy has so many different systems that are working. It's like if you look at the globe, it's a big global system, then you see these little weather systems, and within the weather system there's a cloud that's pouring down rain somewhere, and there's someone that's, all kinds of systems going on. The system is material energy. And you're busy, very busy doing nothing. Doing nothing in the sense that everything you do will be lost at the time of death. Everything we're endeavoring. As I've given the example many times, if someone comes up to you, says, I got a fantastic business for you to invest in. You can invest all your money. Yes, what is it? No, but the body will fail. But we're investing in this body, trying to squeeze some pleasure out of it. Every day, let me squeeze some pleasure. Hours a day, 7-8 hours a day or more. And then what is it? This fell apart, stock market's down, and more potatoes. The most merciful incarnation is Krishna Prema. Krishna Prema proposed that everyone in this age is so unqualified and so undeserving. Yet he's so desirous that everyone can awaken their Krishna consciousness. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving Krishna Prema without any qualification. There's a catch. The catch is that you have to take advantage. Then at some point, it may not be available. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, the marketplace of the holy name is opened up, and Nityananda Prabhu is just offering everything at a very cheap price. What is that price? Have a little faith. A little faith, Srila Prabhupada, theoretically that Krishna is God. So that's our proposal. Just accept theoretically that Krishna is God and read this Bhagavad Gita. Or just accept that the Lord can purify your heart in the form of the holy name. And chant. Our process is the easiest, is the cheapest form of religion. It's come when you want to give them voluntarily. There's no want to. It means that, if that's not happening to us naturally, then we should examine our process of Krishna consciousness. Is the name of God. Bhakti, Ichigo Nitai Ki, Nitai Gopramanandi.
Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namo Krishna Padaya Krishna Prishnaya Namaste देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद कृष्ण चैतन्य